because you will have negativity that will cross your path. But if your canister is full, when it gets knocked over or shaken and something spills out, you're not depleted.
Welcome to the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I'm your host, Kai Mann, and this is the show where we bridge the gaps one story at a time. And today I have with me the amazing Dr. Shawn. Dr. Shawn is an LPC, a licensed professional counselor. She is also a psychologist. She is the co-founder of Ambassador Counseling and Research Group, and she is also an expert in family counseling.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
You are quite welcome. You're quite welcome. I met you a couple months ago and I was very impressed. I wanted to know more about you, who you were, what you were doing, and just hearing some of your story that day at the conference. I met you at the, what was it? The After the Rain.
Correct.
Turning your pain into PowerPoint.
Correct.
I thought, how powerful was that? How powerful is it to go through whatever pain it is and to learn how to turn that around and use it for your own good?
Absolutely.
Now, I know that most of us who kind of walk into our purpose and walk into our passions, normally it's because there's been something that has transpired in our own lives.
Yes.
Can you share with us your story?
Oh, wow. The story is, 40 something years in the making. And what brought me here was really, to the professional point, was I had a job. I was an auditor. My background is in business, even though you talked about all this licensed professional counselor and stuff. So my degree is in business. I'm out auditing, and what would happen is people would open up and share stories with me. And I had heard that one lady found her husband in bed with another woman. Another story was a woman who had an incestuous relationship with her father. And so people were dropping this on me. I'm coming in with my clipboard just to do my thing, and I'm like, okay. So I would always say to myself, okay, what am I supposed to do? Where am I supposed to go with this? And it would always be just listen, never judge, and encourage. So that's what kind of brought me to the professional point, but just to be in a place that I'm about helping and encouraging other people, and really just trying to be a positive force when I connect with people. There were so many women who shared that type of energy with me. And so when I'm wherever I am, I'm trying to be, a positive force with people that I connect with. And that just came from, people sharing with me and opening up with me. Wow.
So a part of what it is that you do is with family, like helping families to mend. What have you seen mostly are some of our history as far as family issues?
Oh, okay. A lot of times, and when you say us, first I think of, African Americans and people who have come out of a place where secrets were how we ran our household. And so a lot of times those secrets are things that have been buried and carried through generations. But what I tell people is that secrets kill, steal, and destroy your joy. And so when you have people holding things in, not talking about stuff, and so I have kids who have to keep their parents having an affair a secret. I have people who have been molested or touched by, family members, friends, those kind of things. I have people who have been assaulted and we don't talk about it, we don't go to the police. And so you have this thing that has been throughout their lives that they're carrying, and it affects how you parent, it affects how you love, it affects how you see the world. And unfortunately, that historically has been something for us as people of color. Don't talk. We don't tell anybody. Don't trust. And it it affects us.
Right.
It affects us,
Right.
absolutely. And with the family, like I said, it's gonna change how I parent my kids. It's gonna change how I deal with my husband. It's gonna change how I regard my parents. And so right now, I'm just trying to tell people, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even something you want to hold inside. Talk about it. Find a safe place, a safe person, somebody you trust, and talk about it.
So let's talk a little bit about Dr. Shawn, though.
Yes.
So in the instance of talking and about some of the issues, were you always one that were able to talk about the things that have happened in your life?
Absolutely not. Like I said, I don't think my parents even said don't talk, don't tell. Sometimes you're embarrassed by things that have happened to you, and you don't know how your loved ones are going to respond to you. Sometimes it's the thoughts in your own head. I've been married before, and just in the fact of deciding to get married again, what did I do wrong to have a failed marriage, and to be a young mother, those kind of things, and decide to get out there again. So it's like those questions that I have in my own mind. It wasn't anything necessarily in my family, but just my own thoughts. But that's why I went to therapy myself to through the divorce, and kind of talk that out. Like, sometimes it just happens. It doesn't mean there's something wrong with me.
Right. So when we talk about going to counseling, and I know a lot of people don't want to go to counseling, but you said that you went to counseling.
Absolutely.
What were some of the maybe things that you were able to share with the counselor that was able to help you to move into the space that you were okay with you?
I'm not broken. Being a brown skinned girl with full lips and a wide nose, I did not see people who looked like me on TV. I was not the girl they were checking for in high school or in college. So obviously that left me with some of my own thoughts in my own head. And my father, I'm a daddy's girl. My parents are still married. They've been married like 53 years.
Wow.
And even in that, I still felt like I was not good enough. And so but the thoughts in my own head that he let me know, and it's a gentleman that I see as my therapist, and I still have him, and I can go on record saying that too. I feel like a good therapist has a therapist, because you understand the benefit of it. But he let me know I wasn't broken. There's nothing wrong with you. You're good just the way you are. Your purpose is waiting on you. You got to catch up to it. So it was those kind of things. I'm like, oh, okay, it's okay. And so then I embraced the full lips, the wide nose, natural hair, those kind of things. And looking in the mirror, I was like, I started falling in love with myself. I'm like, hey, all right. So it was those kind of things that I discovered by going to therapy.
Wow. So when we think about transforming or either transitioning into certain spaces, surely from where you were into that space of finding out who you were and loving yourself for who you were, and then moving into Dr. Shawn, what was the transition like?
What was the transition like? Scary, lonely, confused, unsure, determined, hopeful, naive. It was a up and down of who am I and who do I want to be. So it was that question of trying to figure out who I am, and then tell myself, who do you want to be? And it's something that I tell the people I work with and my students. I'm like, don't be afraid to self-check, and if it's something that you don't like about yourself, work on it. You know what I mean? And the things that you like about yourself, embrace them and boast about them. There's nothing wrong with that. And so there was they still happen. I don't even want, it's a continue evolving process to say, okay, I made it and I arrive. And actually, I tell people you never do. It until the day you leave here. You're always in the point of evolving and growing and figuring out who you are.
Right. So today, who is Dr. Shawn?
Dr. Shawn, I'm a lover.
Mm-hmm.
I am in love with my husband and excited about his presence, and coming out of 2 failed marriages. I didn't say that, so I'm going on record. 2, yes. 2 failed marriages. I'm not afraid to love. I'm very passionate about things that are close to my heart, which is like raising awareness for mental health, being an educator and teaching the next generation or the next group who want to help people. A mother. I have 2 children by birth and 5 children by marriage, and so being in a blended family, I felt like is an additional blessing to be able to take what I have experienced and what I've learned and to give that back. A friend, a sister friend. Again, being a person, as I shared earlier, of having other women who just kind of encouraged me and let me know that I was good where I was. It was okay to go through a divorce. It was okay to talk about coming out of domestic violence, those kind of things. I try to be that for my friends and, the people around me. So, yeah. And I'm a woman with a Ph.D.
That's right.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, that's who I am.
Amazing. As women, sometimes we probably put more on ourselves than necessary. Are there some things in your life that you believe that you put on yourself that was not necessary?
The Europeanized standards of beauty. To think that I was not good enough. It wasn't anything that my parents told me. It were things that I thought in my head. To feel like I had to always be the best. And this comes in coming out of school, having a job and having the kids, because I did not want to be a statistic as a single mom. I was married very early, like 20 years old. So when I left him, I was determined not to be a statistic. So I pushed myself. And again, that was when, like I just started having older women being like, it's okay. It's okay. You don't have to do that. Take time to enjoy your children. Right. That kind of thing. Not having to worry about working 2 jobs and going to school. No, drop one of those jobs and make the children higher on the priority. Those kind of things. Money, feeling like money was important, and where we need money to live. I always say money is a resource. It's not as important as you think it is. Yes, it gives us opportunity to do things, but if you put too much emphasis on money, you will find yourself doing things and giving up things that you shouldn't be giving up for money.
Right.
So yeah, all of that, and it's still happening. Especially with the money thing. Sometimes I have to check myself. All money isn't good money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
Yeah.
Right. We in life in general, most of us want to pursue our happiness. Most of us want to pursue those things that would leave us in a state of not having to want for anything. But yet and still, we have a hard time moving into those spaces because sometimes it's hard. Have you felt that those spaces, not only were they hard, but that you maybe couldn't do it in some instances?
Going back to opening up my heart. Opening up my heart, it took a long time to get to a place where I totally surrendered and trusted him. And I just go back to being, grateful for my husband being patient with me. Coming out of 2 failed marriages, one being young, also being in a marriage that where violence was involved. Yeah, nobody was gonna put me in that place again ever. And so that was probably the biggest lesson that I learned, where I had to say, okay, Shawn, step aside. Just all of your stuff, step aside and, embrace what's happening to you. Okay. Because I had these aha moments. I had my point of transformation. I'm counseling people. You know what I mean? So I knew better. But when it's happening to you, because you used the word felt, mm-hmm. Okay, when it's happening to you, it's different.
All right, that's true. We're going to take a break on that. We'll let that kind of soak in right there. And this is the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I'm your host, Kai Mann. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Iology Inc., an innovative, navigational, and creative company that works with its clients from the inside out. We believe in walking our clients hand in hand, from concept creation to brand management. Our innovative process assists our clients in conceptualizing, developing, building, rebuilding, or restructuring their lives, businesses, and brands. Are you ready to be seen, heard, and remembered? Contact us at iologyinc.com.
Focus, the state or quality of having or producing clear definition. Focus One Entertainment is the premier videography company in the Midwest. We specialize in weddings, corporate events, documentaries, sporting events, and films. Regardless of the scope or budget, we approach every project the same way, by capturing and clearly defining your vision. Contact us at 313-444-3638 or www.focusoneEntertainment.com.
And we are back. This is the Conversations with Kai Mann show, and today I am talking with Dr. Shawn. Now, right before we left, we were about to get into some really good stuff during the break. So, you guys know, if you watch season 1, you know how it goes. We have to quickly come back. Most women, when we are going through whatever it is that we've gone through in past relationships, and then we're trying to move into a different space, maybe we're going to school, we're trying to get our Ph.D., and yet we have someone that we're trying to be in a relationship with. How hard is it to do both, and especially after what you had gone through?
Okay, so I was mentioning that when I started dating my husband, I had a lot of walls up. A lot of walls and a lot of layers. So a lot of walls and a lot of layers. And I was starting a Ph.D. program, and so for me that was the priority. So again, that's one of the layers. Like, I like you. Hey, I'm at the end of the day, I want to be courted. I want to go to dinner, and I want, those kind of things. So I wanted that, but I wasn't going to let you take me off my square. And sometimes that comes off with a sense of toughness, or I'm too strong, or I can't get you to I'm not going to let you get that close to me. Because again, my degree, that's what I want. That's really what I want. And it had to be like thinking about something that the old people said, or the old ladies, and like, can a degree keep you warm? And my thing was like, okay, well, I can make good money. This is part of what I want to do. This is part of, it was on my list, my bucket list. Mm-hmm. We got to come back to that. Like, okay. I believe in writing stuff down, but that was something I had on my list. So I would say yes, it was hard. It was very hard. I always tried to be. I tried not to come off so hard, but I would love him at arm's length. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I feel bad about when I think about that. Yeah, because who doesn't want to be loved?
Right. How do you think, and maybe we can have him since he's here, come on. How do you think he felt? Because like you said, you want to be courted. And of course, men, they have to do the necessary courting and chasing, so to speak, to get to where it is that they want to be, which is ultimately in a relationship with you. So how do you think that he felt about the layers and the walls? Do you think it was difficult for him?
I believe it was difficult for him. I would say he was patient, and if we were being honest, he had his walls and his layers too. And it was funny because I could pick his out. You know, I got my little list. I know what's going on with him, but it also took him saying, you got some walls too, you know. Why won't you tell me more about school, or why won't you tell me more about your business? He said, I remember when I asked you about your day, I really want to know about your day. And I was like, I don't know why it was so surprising. He was like, I want to know, about everything that's going on in your day. So yeah, I think it was hard because you had two people and both were both pulling because of the pain that we had experienced in previous relationships.
You kind of hit on something I really want to talk about. Sometimes when we've had previous relationships, I like to call them practice.
Yeah, I like that.
I like to call them practice. So, because I believe when you get so much practice, the real thing kind of comes in, and you're able to be better in that relationship. So all the practice that you had, sometimes though with the practice, you get the real thing, and then you're still kind of in practice mode, and you don't realize that you're actually, this is the game time now.
Correct.
So knowing that some of the things that you went through during the practice time, was it hard to relinquish some of those things so that game time you could just let go of?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because I can think about 3 or 4 people who I'm like, let it go. Practice. When I was in practice mode, I think that was what showed up when I started, seeing him. And I think again, okay, so here's how I see it. Because you have a feeling that feels familiar, when you have that familiar feeling in the new relationship, your mind takes you to that space and place of that feeling from that previous relationship. And so that person in front of you doesn't quite understand what's going on because you are responding to that place and space from the previous relationship. And most of us do it without even, we're so unconscious of it, which is why psychology and all this stuff just blows my mind. I think of it, but we really aren't conscious of it. And it took for me going to therapy, shout out to Dr. B, because when I dated my husband, that was another time I found myself back in therapy because I wanted him, this is crazy, I wanted him to validate my mess. Like I wanted him to say, no, it's okay, yes, go to school, and it's okay to protect your heart, and you should. And he was like, what is your problem? Yeah, why, if you have somebody that's showing up for you, being there, and even if he didn't have all 10 things and 8 out of the 10 or whatever my list or my needs were, he was like, why, what's your problem? And I was the problem. You understand? I was the problem. And he had to remind me, he's not your ex, he's not this, he's not that. Let that go. That was the past. That was your practice. Right. That's your story. That's a part of your journey, so you can be, better for whoever comes in your life, or better for my now husband. Right. So that was what he taught me.
Yeah. That has to be hard, though. I think because when you're trying to be better, and sometimes you don't know. Like you said, you do things subconsciously, and you walk in these different spaces. You're going on doing what you normally would do, and here it is this perfect person that comes, and it kind of blows you kind of out of the water, where you're finding out who you really are. What were some of the things that you had to do in order to stop, basically treating him as if he were the practice?
Well, I went to therapy, which is kind of I'm gonna say a big aha, but not a big aha for me, because as I told you earlier, I truly believe that, to me, it never stops. I use him as my person, my sounding board, when I find that my mind is cluttered and I'm not at peace. So I can feel it on the inside where I'm just disturbed. So for me, I went to therapy. What I would tell people is journaling is a really big thing. Even for the men, journaling and just kind of writing some thoughts down, having some quiet time to reflect. Okay, and say, why am I doing this? And so a lot of times when I'm talking with my friends or even with my clients, my tell me more about that. Tell me why. Where is that coming from? What are you feeling? So those are the questions that I ask myself. When I still ask them, but when I was going through that, and that's how I ended up going back to therapy, because I couldn't quite answer those questions.
Right.
And so writing, thinking, meditating, praying, talking in that trusted space. Those are the things that I suggest that people do if they find themselves practicing and they know that they really shouldn't be practicing, because
Right. Wow. I just think that when we're trying to be in relationships, and when we're trying to go to school, get our Ph.D.s or whatever the next level, the next step is, most women who are in the space where they don't have anybody while they're doing that find it very hard to even get into a relationship. And here it is, you had somebody who really wanted to be in that space. What was the like pivotal moment for you to say, okay, he is the right guy?
Okay, so I had like a couple of pivotal moments. I'm going on record to say I had made my peace to say I was never getting married again. And I say that because I had 2 failed marriages, and I didn't want to go into another marriage. So I'm going to be the best girlfriend that I can be. I'd already had said, it's good, we grown, it's cool. And I remember my daughter was away in Maine, and Maine is about 13 hours from where we are. And I remember getting off the phone with her, and I kind of started crying. It's my baby. And I was like, I just miss her so much. And he said, why don't we go see her? And I said, excuse me? And he said, call her back, see what's a good weekend. And he was like, and I'll take you to see her. And I was like, you gonna drive me? He was like, yeah. And it was like, it was nothing. And that was one of the moments that I was like, you know what? I need to marry this man. And by this time, we're 6 years in, maybe 7. I don't even really know the timeline, but I remember that moment where I was like, I was falling emotionally because I miss my baby. And he caught me. And I was like, that's what I want. That's what I want for the rest of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So that is amazing. I mean, how often do we really get those moments that kind of define for us what it is that we really need and what we really want all at the same time? How amazing is that? That's amazing. It's amazing. So here it is. How does your daughter, do you have, how many kids do you have?
I have 2 biological daughters.
Okay. So how do they respond to him?
I think they have a very good relationship with him. In fact, I know they do. they both have their own individual relationship, and I think that's the thing that we try to work on as parents in a blended family. The kids range in age of 12 to 26, and that even though it's a large group when we all get together, we all have our individual relationships with our children. And so I think they get along well, and they wanted their mother to be happy because there was a small window. We weren't together. They're like, oh, you need to call him up, that kind of thing. We like, cause and again, I think about how focused I was in school, and I'm thinking I'm focused, and the kids was like, He said I snapped at them, I was mean, I was short, and I'm focused. What are you talking about? So yeah.
So that really defines who we are when we're missing pieces. We're missing pieces, and a lot of times we're walking around, we're thinking we're whole because we're doing this, we're walking straight in this line of purpose and our goals and all those different things, but yet and still we're missing those pieces. I know for myself, when it's time to, I'm like you in that sense of being very focused. But I know there is a time when you have to make room for the relationship. How do you make room for the relationship when you're being a counselor, you're a psychologist, you're working with families, and you're in survival mode, and all these other different things that you're doing, you're going to school? How do you make time for the relationship?
I think making time for the relationship now is easy because he represents a place of peace. And when I say that, I'm saying I showed up to him already whole because I came out of a broken marriage. And as you were talking, I'm thinking like, how many of us really know when the pieces are missing? And that's the thing that I want people to think about. Do you, can you admit it?
Right.
You know what I mean? And so I see those people who can admit it, and sometimes they want to stay there. But then I know people who don't want to admit it. And so for me, that's the thing. He represents that part, so it's easy for me to make time. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. We're going to take a break. This is the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I'm having some awesome conversation with Dr. Shawn. You guys don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello, Detroit, and welcome to the Secret Society of Twisted Storytellers, where real people tell true stories live on stage. No notes, no poetry or Dr. Seuss, just the truth from their lips to your listening hearts and minds. Stories so raw and revealing, so hilarious, human and healing, they will move and inspire you. Take a break from what you usually do. Come out, connect, meet old friends and new. Every third Friday at the Charles H. Wright Museum of African American History. Visit www.secretstorytellers.com to watch videos and for info and tickets today.
Elevation Nation Media Group, an entertainment agent for media coverage and access. We create and produce inspired development video and audio content, such as films, short films, documentaries, talk shows, transformational reality shows, radio shows, podcasts, PSAs, commercials, video profiles, and video resumes. Why Elevation Nation Media Group? Because we elevate you by any means necessary. Contact us at www.elevationnationmedia.com.
And welcome back. This is the Conversations with Kai Mann show. I'm your host, Kai Mann, and this is the show where we bridge the gaps one story at a time. And right now we're listening to Dr. Shawn's story. Right now I feel like you're in this kind of heart space. Can you describe what that feels like right now?
Vulnerable, yet peaceful, warm, open and transparent. Yeah.
It's a good place to be. I think that, I don't know, for me, I've been wanting myself as well as the people that I talk to, for us to be able to have this conversation where it's not so much a surface, where we're just doing what the necessary is, but that we're having these conversations that are deeper and that are allowing for us to heal, for that to allow other people to heal as well. What do you think for you, when you think about your purpose in this world, what do you think for you is the most important?
Most important. So that's really hard because like so many words come to me, and so like one of the words is transparent, and you and I have had that conversation. Being transparent, being transformational. As I mentioned, you know, when I come in contact with people, I want them to have a good experience. I never know what kind of day anybody is having, and so I just kind of want to be that that warmth or that good energy. I believe in energy and presence. And when I think about my purpose in terms of the most part, that I actually live it. You know what I'm saying? That I carry it out. And so if I had to put most important on, that's what I want to make sure that I carry out the purpose that I know, which I am very well aware of it. It didn't happen overnight, but I know what it's about. And so I want to make sure I carry that out.
I was, ever so often, I do these videos while I'm traveling to and fro.
Yes, yes, I am a fan.
Thank you. So this morning I was doing this video, and I began to think about being not only just positive, but radiating from a different space. And I thought about how sometimes when we wake up in the morning and we think about, oh, it's a beautiful day, and then something happens to kind of like turn that day, or try to turn that day into something else. And I remember that, thinking about that, for the simple fact of, I was thinking to myself how sometimes I allow myself to have that 15 minutes of whatever that feeling is. And then kind of persuading myself to see it from a different perspective so that I can enjoy the rest of my day. How do you, in the space of being transparent and being all that you want to be and what it is that you want people to experience that is you, how do you continue to walk in that space when sometimes it can be hard?
I call it feel, be real, and then heal. And I say that with conviction at every point. You talked about owning that feeling, and so the thing is, you got to be aware of that feeling. And I tell people, there's nothing, that's your feeling. That is your feeling. And so you need to say, okay, I didn't like it that man cut me off. That's okay. And then that's the being real to it. I didn't like it, but you can go left or you could go right. And so then that's the point of heal. Which one do you want to go in? A heal. So I want to go right. Whether it's right turn, right in the direction, I want to be right. And so for me to be right, it's like, okay, I have so many things to be grateful for, and maybe I should just slow down. Maybe I'm gonna breathe at this light, whatever the case may be. And so it's the feel, heal, feel, be real, and then heal. That's what I try to keep in my mind to keep me going.
Yeah. With social media, we're being kind of bombarded on a daily basis with all kinds of
negativity.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in that space, for me, I watch TV, but I don't watch like news or anything like that. So I don't have like cable. I specifically watch certain television shows. So I don't a lot of times hear or see the news in that aspect of it. But as soon as you get on social media, you're like bombarded by whatever it is that is going on. How do you, dealing with social media, allow yourself to not be bombarded by those images, or do you?
Well, I try not to. I just have and I said I want to do better, and it's funny because I was like, do I really want to open myself up more to social media? But I only have a time that I'm on social media, so it's that window, and then that's it. Now, do I pick up the phone every now and then in between? I do, but then I remember, so okay, that's not your social media time. Cut down. So one, social media can be a distractor. And if you're really trying to live your purpose, you can't be distracted, okay? Distraction is a tactic of the enemy. And you can call the enemy whoever it is. But if it's not having you on the road to your purpose, it's a distraction.
Right.
And so I try not to. And the thing that I would say and that I appreciate about you, because I love the travel, commentaries that you do. But I like positive things. So I don't watch a lot of the news. I will say there are certain TV shows that I watch, but when I watch them, it's with a certain intent. So kind of like you and it's not always educational. Sometimes heart matters. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I do look for things that make me feel good. That can be put in my canister. And so I tell people that your core, your soul is like a canister, and you have to be mindful what you put in your canister. That's it. And so if social media is going to be the tool, you got to be mindful what kind of stuff is coming in, because that's the thing, you can't control it.
Right.
Scrolling down that timeline, you know what I mean? You can't control it. So that's why I say put a limit on it, and make sure that you're looking at positive media image. You're around positive people. You're listening to positive music. You're listening to you're reading things, affirmations, those kind of things. Doing things in nature that make you feel good. You got to put some of that in, because you will have negativity that will cross your path. But if your canister is full, when it gets knocked over or shaken and something spills out, you're not depleted and empty.
Right. Ooh, that was good. There's one thing that has happened that I believe that has been a great thing, and I know everybody has their own opinion about it. And I don't know if you listen to Jay-Z at all. Jay-Z's new album, 444. He talks about how he messed up in the relationship that he and Beyonce had. And he's been very transparent about a lot of things. What I like that's happening right now is that there's a lot of dialogue that's happening where men before were not talking about things. And I know most men have not been taught how to be in relationships or how to love women in the right way, maybe because of them not being loved in the right way. But I think that there's a wonderful thing that's happening. Have you heard anything about it?
My daughter is a huge Jay-Z fan. In fact, she's going to see him here and in LA. So
Really?
I mean, yes, I am well aware of the they don't call them albums or CDs, but I'm well aware what he dropped, 444, right? So I heard a couple of songs, and for me, I liked the conversation, not just about the relationships, but the conversation about being black men and trying to be better than the past or things that you have seen, about the climate of the country, about forgiveness and trying to find your way back. So for me, it was a great way to start the conversations, like you said, and really get people talking, because entertainers really don't know how much influence they have. And so I actually was like, okay, I'm with you on this one. I'm with you on this one. And not that I'm not a Jay-Z fan, because I do have some stuff on my playlist. Just saying. But I wasn't as big, not like my daughter or anything. And when I heard, and I can't think of the name of the song, and I was like, I think it has some explicit words in the title, but I was just like, okay, I like this though. I like the story that it was telling. I like the message. I like the conversations, like I said, that I heard afterwards. And it was just about who we are as black people in this country right now. No, and it doesn't make a difference what your bank account
Count
says.
mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was those kind of things, and I was applauding it. I'm like,
Right.
okay, let's do this, Jay-Z. Let's
Right.
have conversations about it.
Exactly.
Let's get people talking. Let's take it to the barbershop.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. When I look at that from a total different perspective as well, and not all of us have been raised, and I won't say right. There are many ways to
Correct.
raise
Absolutely.
children.
Absolutely.
So, and some of those of us being reared, we were not taught certain things about love. Of course, because we were in some of those spaces where we didn't talk about a lot of things.
Correct.
So a lot of us don't know how to love people, and then a lot of us don't know how to love ourselves first and foremost. So I thought about how we have these conversations, even as women, when we're having these conversations. What are some of the things that we should be saying to each other, in this space of teaching? Because I believe that we're all teachers. Everybody is a teacher. So in the space of us teaching each other how to love or how to move in different spaces, how do we begin to have that conversation?
The first thing I would say is you're beautiful, and to really sincerely mean that. I don't know if you remember at the conference, we had the moment where I told everybody you had to find two people, you had to say something positive, and the only requirement was to be sincere.
Right.
Because when it comes from that place, that canister, and it's sincere, you receive it, and then you hold on to it. And so I think, starting the conversation of telling women that they're beautiful, and that could be because of my own history and my own story, letting her know that she's valuable. That was one of the things that I would tell my daughters, like, you are valuable. No matter what anybody told you, you're valuable. And that you are here for a purpose and those kind of things. Also letting you know I accept you for who you are. And I say that to, go into the space, sometimes having people around you who are different or who may love differently than you, saying I'm okay with that because I accept you for who you are. And so those kind of things I think are important, because what I know is they are heart matters that are connected to our soul. And so when you have that in you, some of that brokenness that you may have experienced early in life can begin to mend, because you start to look in the mirror and be like, okay, I am okay. Maybe I am beautiful. Okay, I'm valuable. I have a purpose. So yeah, that's how I start the conversation.
Awesome. Well, I wish we could do this a lot longer. This has been a great conversation. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you so much.
I'm humbled to be here and just to share, and I love what you're doing, and I mean that.
Thank you.
Sincerely. I love the positive energy. I love what you're talking about. I love the future things that you have shared, so I'm excited for that. And let's not make this the last time.
Of course not. Of course not. Of course not. Tell our viewers how they can contact you.
Okay. Well, I do have a website. It's Dr. Shawn the LPC, and that's DRSHAWNTHELPC.com, and that's just my website that talks about the professional things that I do, the events that I have, how to contact me for counseling services and things like that. And even if you are a student who is a counselor, I have some special things for you, so definitely reach out to me.
Awesome. Thank you again for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. This has been the Conversations with Mann show. Thank you for joining us. Good night.